Superman is a hugely popular character, a godlike being almost perfect in his capacity for goodwill and physical prowess. Protagonists often have distinct flaws to propel their stories, and Superman is largely grounded through romance. This intimacy is something the Reeve Superman films understood, nailing it throughout the run. Romance is the needed grounding aspect of angelic Superman, ensuring the films aren't about some perfect figure. Superman may seem like a god, but he has the heart of a human. We can relate to his human journey through romance. To show this, I'm going to highlight Superman's first date with Lois, because it really conveys such intimacy excellently. After Superman saves Lois, there's a clear spark between the two, and this is quickly followed up by a date. The timing for this development feels natural and earned. We've had ample time to gestate in the Lois Clark dynamic, giving this update an emotional resonance. We know their history, and we can share in their feelings towards one another. The date is disguised as an interview opportunity, but it's really just an excuse for the two to share time together. Lois's house is a great setting to start, a beautiful balcony fitting for romantic interaction. As Superman hops onto the screen, there's a real gentle quality there. Reeves simply nailed Superman's tone, his overtly polite nature. His performance really brings Superman to life, acting as an incredibly civilized and relatable character. And in comparison to her curt scenes with Clark, Margot Kidder does an excellent job portraying a more vulnerable side to Lois. Scenes drinking before Superman glides by and stopping for cigarettes conveys Lois's shy quality underneath, completely spellbound by Superman. Lois stutters whilst being completely transfixed by Superman. There's no denying this is a woman completely in love, and Superman's love for Lois shows in his eyes as well as his sly banter. They have a very earnest dynamic that's full of respect. Lois and Superman's nervous feelings for one another and awkward interactions are handled with a brilliant sincerity. The Kidder Reeve dynamic is simply an unmatched pairing, witty dialogue beautifully complementing their performances. It's these performances that really makes the interaction shine, a magical presence on display. There's a frantic euphoria between the two that's so childlike and human. It really opens up the two characters to the audience. And though Superman seems bold, he too shows a boyish nerve around Lois, excited by her curiosity and involved in her questioning. On paper, the scene could easily fall into boring territory because it is a scene of Lois asking Superman 20 questions. But it's the charisma involved by both actors that makes the scene a highlight. Instead of a professional interview, the scene feels like a vulnerable moment of intimacy. The two characters' complete affection comes across with every word or humorous remark. Superman isn't bland, given a little cheese factor here. Ultimately, he is given a personality, a level of vulnerability that's compelling. Importantly, we get to see the real Superman here, Superman's heart. And that's what makes this slow interview sequence so engaging. It feels like a romantic tennis game where every question or answer shows a hint of affection. When performing as Superman, he's a strong character, and Lois always presents as to the point in reporter mode. But this scene is a moment where the two completely unwind, their barriers melted. And though romantic, the scene is also very efficient. It essentially establishes certain facts about Superman, introducing statistics to a new audience, but most importantly, their personalities. We see the two interact on a deeper level. Superman's so caught up in love that he lets loose a little easily, letting his weakness to lead slip, and these moments highlight that humanity in Superman, even more so when he's trying to impress Lois. Intimacy is about opening up, and the two absolutely do that here. Superman can seem somewhat sanitized to a general audience, but the scene still manages to convey tension, sexual tension, balancing audience maturity. Superman comments about Lois's underwear, but the joke comes off as funny because her pants are pink. There's a great sense of balance in the script. It is campy, and where romance feels cute, a campy joke here or a silly line there is delivered full of sincerity, and it combines to create a comic book tone that's beautifully realized to the big screen. If you thought the interview was romantic, it only gets better, with a slow, gentle flight in the night sky. After Lois's questions, this allows a non-verbal scene where the two don't have to talk, they just share the moment. Superman shows Lois how he sees the world, and in turn Lois sees Metropolis in a way she's never seen before, utterly captivated. What could be more romantic than cruising the skyscrapers of Metropolis with the man of your dreams, taking in the scenery and feeling at home? There's a real sense of awe throughout, with no interruptions. I love that from the interview to flight, everything's allowed to breathe, nothing is being rushed, and time feels frozen for a while. You emotionally invest in the two, and you can see why they fall for each other so quickly in such excellent scenes. Superman shows Lois briefly what it's like to be Superman. The flying scene is a great display of the calm core to Superman's character and how he sees the world as beautiful. It's a scene that has such a soothing atmosphere, feeling straight out of a fairy tale. Though the wire work isn't very dynamic, the camera pans to simulate distance. The rear projection's contrast is low, adding to the hazy, dreamlike quality of the scene. The light is seen through smoky mist, a dazzling horizon. The craft is there, but the scene isn't about the effects, focusing on Lois's reactions. It's handled very delicately. Scenes above the clouds lit by moonlight just spell the word romance, with beautiful imagery on display. There are moments when it feels like the two are just dancing in the night with the way they move. Soon afterwards, Lois is brought back down to Earth, transitioning back into ordinary life. It just conveys how different time is with Superman, and the film depicts love in a very mature manner. In total, the interview and flying sequence combine to roughly 15 minutes of screen time. It's a good chunk dedicated to the protagonists, and such scenes convey why we should care for such characters. You can't skip such important scenes because they're simply the beating heart of this film. They create an atmosphere of intimacy you want in a romance film, not just a superhero epic. We buy the romance as well as the spectacle. If you liked this video, please subscribe and consider joining Patreon. Links are in the description below. I would like to give a special thank you to Starfleet Sohail, who supports me on Patreon. You can find him at Starfleet Sohail on YouTube and Twitter. But most importantly, thank you for watching. It really means a lot.